So in this video, I want to explain something a little out of the ordinary that I'm going to be doing to these brand new white cedar shingles that I've installed on this shed. I've made several videos about refurbishing this old, what is it now, 33-year-old shed, and I want to do some finishing now. You might be wondering, why would I want to put anything on these shingles? Because they look so nice, and they do. If I could do something that would keep these shingles looking the way they are now forever, or for at least a long time, I would do it, but I can't. What I am doing, what I have done, is to put a clear sealer on the window trim and the corner boards. This should keep the wood looking like that for about 3 or 4 years. And when it does get gray, because those pieces are flat, I can sand them and then reestablish that kind of lighter look. But I won't be able to do that on these shingles, just because of the texture of them, of course. I could just leave the shingles the way they are, but there's a problem with that. What's going to happen is I'm going to get lots of weathering on the bottom. The closer to the ground, the more weathering I'm going to get. And then as I get up under the eaves, there's not going to be very much weathering at all. And in fact, here on the north side of the shed, under the eaves, those top shingles would probably not change color at all. So you get this really ratty looking variation where you got black shingles on the bottom and very light shingles on the top, and I really don't like that look. So I'm going to do something, and I'm going to show it to you now. You only ever have to do it once, and it creates a kind of an even dark brown, dark gray kind of look. And it's even, that's one thing. And it never needs to be redone. There's nothing to peel. It's really a kind of a non-toxic chemical treatment that does this job. And this is what I'm going to use. I've used this for a long time now, probably more than 20 years. I'm going to mix it up for you. It's a powder that you mix with water, and then you spray it on. You just have to wet the surface. Because like I said, it's not a conventional finish in that there's a film that has to dry or anything like that. This is a chemical treatment of the wood that makes it an even color, makes it look good. They tell me that it offers some rot resistance too. I'm not sure. That's very hard to verify. And these are cedar shingles, white cedar shingles, so they don't really need rot protection anyway. They're going to last for 40 or 50 years or longer. So let's go over. I'll load up the sprayer, and I'll show you how the process begins. As I mentioned, this is a powder. It dissolves in water. Envelopes of this size make up 1 gallon. And 1 gallon covers about 150 square feet. Let me take a look at it here. There's no smell. And it's non-toxic. I don't think I'd eat it, but you don't have to worry about it hurting you. I'm going to be making 3 envelopes of this stuff. I think that should do the job. And as I said, you just have to get this onto the surface in any way that works. So I'm using this pretty fancy gas-powered backpack sprayer. You don't need anything this fancy. My regular pump-up sprayer that I use for this sort of thing has some stuff in it right now. So I'm getting out the big guns, but our job is just to simply wet the surface with this. Make sure it's thoroughly wet. And then we stand back and watch the changes happen.
Now, the changes kind of happen pretty quickly, right?
It varies. It's funny, I don't know why it varies. I think it has to do partially with some the species of wood, and whether there's any mill glaze, any burnishing on the surface that prevents absorption. White cedar shingles seem to be pretty responsive. They have been in the past.
They were on my place.
Yes, they're very responsive. So I think we're going to see some changes this afternoon. You don't see the full change until several months later. And it can be quite striking. But it's not going to happen too fast. That should be enough. I'll fire up the sprayer and we'll go and get busy. So here we are 24 hours later, and I've intentionally left the north side of the shed unsprayed, just so you can see what happens after 24 hours. This is what you saw me do yesterday, and this is the stuff I'm going to do in a few minutes when I get off the camera here just to finish the job. But of course this is not the extent of the change. It's actually much more dramatic than this as time goes on, and as you'll see. This is what the treatment looks like when it's fully mature. This is the same white cedar shingles, exactly the same as you saw in the shed. This was sprayed 6 years ago. It didn't take 6 years to get to look like this. It probably got this way after 2 or 3 months. Then it was stabilized. But you can see that it's an even, weathered color, and the effect goes right up to the eaves, which is really the main reason to do this. You want even weathering because it just looks really good, bottom line. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope you've found this video useful for some outdoor projects you've got at your place. If you're watching on YouTube, give me a like. If you've liked the video, subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you know when I put out new videos, and check out my website. The URL's in the description box, and you can sign up for my Saturday morning newsletter. We just broke 29,000 subscribers. A lot of people like it, and I think you will too.